Good evening, everyone. I'd like to give you an update of where we currently are in the quarter. We are in Module 3, and I know some students have voiced some concern over the results of your first quiz, and I just wanted to provide perhaps an outline or at least some suggested ideas on how to prepare for the quizzes, and also a way to as much as possible fully and comprehensively understand the material. I know it may seem like a lot, but there's a lot to cover, and while this is course on budgeting, it may be an area that you're not as familiar in or don't have as much experience in as other courses. So the first thing I would suggest is that you want to begin obviously by reading the chapter or the chapters that have been assigned for that particular week or for that module. And as you're reading the Bland book, you want to focus on, or at least highlighting, the main points that he covers. And since it's written in such a manner that each section is bolded, that you'll have an idea on which, where he places the most focus. But in terms of the journal articles, in which I would turn to after reading the Bland text, I would ask critical questions such as, what are the important points that the authors are trying to make? And typically you'll see that, oftentimes you'll see that question raised early on in the article in what we consider the research question. So for example, and I believe it's the Alexander article, they raise a question, or raise a point that responsible budgeting decisions must be tied to an understanding of how administrative activities affect the collective welfare. So they're looking at the relationship between ethics and discretion in many instances to budgeting. And while in the past many would assume that budgeting and ethics are they're related in the fact that we're beholden of holding the public's money and using those resources to deliver services, but at least having a budgetary or having an ethics framework in budgeting hasn't necessarily been discussed in great deal in the literature, and also in particular applied public administration. So here they're reinforcing the importance of that in public administration. So those are questions that's a question that's continuously raised in that article, and I would focus in on examining what the main points the authors are trying to make, so that you'll have a clear understanding of the direction that the article and the authors are taking. Now, after completing the readings and reviewing the notes you've made, that's when I would begin to listen to the voiceover PowerPoint, and even just open up the normal PowerPoint that doesn't have the voiceover, so that the content that I cover is reinforced from the readings that you've already done yourself. So at this point, the PowerPoint lecture will have much greater and much broader meaning to you. So I think it'll help you in that regard if you follow those particular steps. After watching the PowerPoint or listening to the voiceover, I would then read the transcribed lecture that's also available on Blackboard, and it's as a Word document. And essentially, I'm just reading the content of the lecture and adding some other tidbits and other information. So between reading the chapter, the Bland chapter, reading the articles, taking critical notes and asking questions, listening to the voiceover PowerPoint, then reading the transcribed lecture, I think by Thursday you'll be in a position to ask the questions necessary for your self-assessment journal. And what I plan on doing is providing a summary of the most common questions raised and asked through the self-assessments, and giving you that summary at some point on Saturday, probably Saturday morning, so that you'll be better prepared to take the quiz, and at least have the questions that you're asking addressed and answered prior to you taking the quiz. If you wait to take it Saturday evening, I know that sounds like a lot of fun, or Sunday morning, or Sunday certainly before 11:59 p.m. And I hope, in the past I've suggested this strategy to students, and I think it's been somewhat effective. they've at least told me that it's been effective. So I think if you're having concerns or some challenges, then certainly try this method and see if it will help you understand the material a little bit better and a little easier, because I know we cover a lot, but we want to make sure that the important elements are covered here, so that when you do take 615, if you haven't taken it already, then that material comes a lot easier. Also, certainly if you do have questions, you can email me your questions directly, or give me a call during my office hours, or leave a message if I'm not here, and I'll certainly be glad to assist and help you out. Alright, so that's it for now. Have a good evening and a good rest of the week, and I'll see you soon.